And welcome, welcome. Thank you all for being here for how to optimize your day the Ayurvedic way. I'm so excited that you guys are all here. This idea for a workshop has been in my brain for a long time now, and I often talk about bits and pieces of this all the time with different clients and friends and just in passing because it's such an important way and to live our lives. And I'm really excited to be putting it all in one place for us to be able to take all of the information all at once and hopefully really start to move into the world in a different way. So if we have not met, I've got a lot of new faces here. Welcome, welcome. My name is Lillian, and this is my dog, Mac, there in the picture. I'm an Ayurvedic health coach and a hormone health coach. I'm also a yoga teacher. I'm based in Los Angeles. I love living in Los Angeles because it's just abundant sunshine and farmers markets, and it's a really wonderful place to stay healthy and live seasonally. I work with individuals both in person and virtually. I've worked with people around the whole world, literally, which is really fun. And I just absolutely love sharing and empowering Ayurveda with others. So living Ayurvedically has allowed me to totally ditch this idea of diet culture mentality and food restrictions. I am a child of the 90s and the 2000s. So I grew up in all of it, like in the Atkins and the low carb and the this and the that, and fearing fat and fearing sugar and fearing carbs. And I have let go of all of that food fear and really learned to trust myself and trust my body and know that I know best what works for my body, and I know how to listen to my body. And Ayurveda has completely taught me how to do that, and it's transformed my life. And as a result, my weight has stabilized, my skin's cleared up, my digestion has cleared up, my energy has improved, my mood is much more stable. Hormones, period problems, things like that are basically nil. And when these things show up, I know how to listen to my body and bring it into balance. Because things will always happen. We're always evolving. We're always working with our bodies, and Ayurveda teaches us how to work with our body, how to listen to our body rather than just follow a very strict plan. All right, so this masterclass is for you if you are tired and wired at the wrong time of the day. No matter how much self-care you squeeze into your day, you just can't shake the feeling of being burnt out and overwhelmed. Maybe you're finding yourself far too dependent on caffeine to get you up in the morning, sugar to get you through the afternoon, and relaxants like wine or even like CBD, weed, chamomile tea, whatever it is to wind you down. Not all of those things are necessarily bad, but still we don't want to be dependent on it. We really want our energy to ebb and flow with the cycle of the day, and we're going to talk about that more in a minute. This is also really important information for getting to the root of hormonal imbalances, gut imbalances, mood dysregulation. The way that we organize our day and the way that we expend energy throughout our day is one of the root causes of these imbalances. And so this is really an important piece that often gets overlooked when you're dealing with some more like complicated or chronic or frustrating, mysterious conditions. And even if you didn't respond a resounding yes, oh my goodness, this is me, to any of those, you were still called here for a reason. You're still on this masterclass for a reason. So I want to know your why. You can leave it in the comment why you're here. You can send me an email or comment underneath the masterclass. There's a comment section. I want to know why you're here. All right, so what to expect from today? We're going to do a quick moment of reflection so that we can tune into our bodies and understand our baseline, understand where we're moving from. And then we're going to dive deep into the Ayurvedic clock. This is a really fascinating study on how the doshas impact the different times of the day. And if you've taken courses of mine, such as my seasonal cleanses or body literacy bootcamp, we're really talking about what our individual doshas are. And this is going to look at it from a more universal perspective of the way that the doshas are impacting the energy universally around us. And then, of course, we're impacted by that as well. I'm going to go through a very, very quick refresher of the doshas before we get started, but that's not going to go deep at all. So if the doshas are new to you, I really recommend going to my body literacy bootcamp. It's a 3-part training. It takes about 90 minutes to get through all of it. And that's going to give you a really good baseline to understand what the doshas are. And then you'll be able to apply this information even more deeply. And then once we've gone through the way that the doshas impact the day, we're going to be able to understand practices to incorporate during the day at different times of the day so that we can be less busy, so that we can be less overwhelmed, so that we can be more productive. And as we're moving with the natural flow of nature, we'll start to feel better. We'll start to be able to move from a place of ease rather than struggle and kind of fighting against the energy. And that's a really lovely, wonderful place to live from. And I am just excited for all of you to get this information and to start implementing it. And I want to hear from you. Like, I want to hear how it goes. So, quick moment of reflection. And I will, after we go through this, I will pause so that I can hear from some of you. This will be a time where I'm going to ask you to share in the chat. And if you're not muted, please do mute yourself, just so we can eliminate any background noise. So grab a piece of paper, jot down on your phone. You know, if you're going for a walk and listening to this recording at some other point, just type in your notes app. What time do you normally wake up in the morning? And when you wake up in the morning, how do you feel? And you could write it down. I normally wake up at blank. When I wake up, I feel. However it feels good for you.
I'm quiet. You'll be asking me one week. Me, Jacob.
And then I normally go to bed at. And when I go to sleep, I feel. I feel my best at blank time of day. What time of day do you feel your best at? And I hit a wall or feel my worst at blank time of day. I'm going to stop the screen share for a moment so I can pop over here and ask you guys to share some of these answers in the chat box, please. So we're going to do this in the chat box, and then we'll speak in questions at the end. So what time of day are you guys waking up, and how do you feel when you wake up? Anybody? Ooh, okay, we've got a 5:30 a.m. wake up. I'll share for myself, I wake up between 6 and 7. And okay, we have a 5:30 a.m. wake up, and she feels great. I love it. Wow, a 4 a.m. wake up, you guys. All right. I wake up between 8 and 11 a.m. I feel good. Okay, and then 4 a.m. wake up feels great. All right, so we're kind of across the board. Anyone else? Let's do one more. What time do we wake up and how you feel? And I love that you guys feel good when you wake up. Okay, 7 to 8 a.m. wake up and feels tired. We're going to talk about that, 7 to 8 a.m. And it varies how you feel. Yeah, of course. I mean, and we're going to take this wisdom and it's always going to vary, right? And then we'll start to learn how to apply different adjustments so that we can feel better. What time are you going to bed, and how do you feel when you're going to sleep? A few people in the chat, if you don't mind. 12 a.m. restless and anxious. Okay, that's great. We're going to talk about that. Well, it's not great that you're feeling restless and anxious, but we're going to talk about it. It's going to land and make sense why. 10 to 12 a.m. also varies. 9:30 to 10, feeling so tired. 9:30-ish and varies. Someone else, 12, midnight. All right. I'll share for myself. I go to bed between 9 and 10, and I usually feel pretty tired by then. Yeah. Okay. Okay. And someone's saying that going to bed at 9:30 in the morning, eyes are dry and tired, but brain is going. That's interesting too. We'll talk about that. What time of day do you feel your best? Was anyone able to reply to that? Sometimes we don't really think about associating the time of day with when we're feeling really good, but it gives a lot of clues. Morning, someone said morning, 8 to 10 a.m. That's going to make sense. We're going to talk about that in a moment. 10:30, feeling their best. 4 a.m. and 12 noon. Okay, that makes a lot of sense too. Yeah, I'm gonna guess you might be a Vata Pitta type, but we will talk about that in a little bit. All right. And then what time do you hit a wall? What time do you feel your worst? 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 3 to 5 p.m., 3 p.m. Isn't it fascinating how consistent it is? 2 p.m., 3 p.m. Yes, you guys, it's really fascinating how we all, and I know some of you and I don't know some of you, so I don't even know where in the world you are, but how we're all really impacted in similar ways by these universal energies. All right, let's get into it a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to go back to this presentation. If at any point you can't see the presentation, please do unmute yourself and tell me. Okay, so
I wasn't seeing the presentation before or now, actually.
Are you seeing it now?
No.
No. Okay, we fixed this. Thank you. I'm glad I saw that something. Here we go. Now are you seeing it?
Yes, seeing it now.
Ah, thank you. Okay, great.
I cannot really respond in detail because I'm just on my way to work. I hope that there is a recording of this.
Yes, there will be a recording.
Oh, fantastic. Sorry.
You're fine, of
And
course.
I'm hitting the wall at 4 p.m. and I feel my best between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m.
Okay.
Wake
That's
up
gonna make a lot of
between
sense.
6 and 7 and
Okay.
going to bed between 10 and 12. Tired
Perfect.
and sometimes anxious because I didn't get through everything. So that's all I can say for today. Thank you so
That's
much. I'm
perfect.
going
I'm
dark
so glad
now.
you're
Bye.
here. Thank you. All right. And interesting, right? It's all so connected. All right. So we're going back to the presentation again. If anyone can't see it, please do just holler at me. So we're going to really quickly go over the doshas real quickly, and then we are going to go right into the Ayurvedic clock. We just need a really quick framework for what the doshas are in case this is brand new to you. Vata dosha is made up of air and ether. It's cold, light, dry, mobile, and subtle. In the body, it's the nervous system and any movement in the body. Vata governs movement. So often Vata is associated with words like creative, artistic, spiritual, scattered, anxious, overwhelmed, dry, bloated, and constipated. Again, if this is new to you, if this isn't landing or making sense, as a refresher, please do go to my body literacy bootcamp and it will all make sense. Pitta dosha is made up of fire and water. It's hot, sharp, oily, mobile, and spreading. In the body, Pitta dosha is blood, hormones, liver, digestion, and the assimilation of nutrients. So like when we take food or we take knowledge and we put it where it needs to be in the body, that's going to be the assimilation of nutrients. Pitta is often associated with driven, intelligence, ambition, sharp thinking, anger, judgmentalness, skin conditions like acne, rashes, heat, any type of heat or acidity, and diarrhea. And then Kapha dosha is made up of water and earth. Its qualities are going to be cold, wet, soft, dense, and dull. In the body, we see Kapha as fat, muscle, bones, mucus. Kapha is building. It grows. It brings stability and lubrication to the body. Kapha is often associated with nurturing, caring, patient, grounded, stable, depressed, lethargic, heavy, and congested. So now that we have had that really quick refresher of the doshas, we need to remember that the universal principle of using the doshas for Ayurveda is by following these two main concepts. Like attracts like, and opposites balance. And it's really as simple as that. You know, once we start to understand the doshas, we understand that if we add more heat to something hot, we get something that's hotter. And if we add something cold to something hot, it cools it down, right? And that's really how we start to live Ayurvedically to bring our body into balance. All right, so this is where this becomes life-changing. Each of the doshas govern different times of the day, meaning that dosha is going to increase in all of us. Your doshas are both your greatest strength and your greatest weakness. The dosha can work for you and it can work against you depending at the time of the day, depending on what's going on in your life, depending on, where your body is at in this moment. So once we understand which doshas are elevated or present at different times of the days, we can organize our activities to harness the strength, like attracts like, and prevent imbalances. Opposites attract, or opposites balance, right? And that's it. That's how we're going to use it. So we're going to get started. We're going to start with 6 to 10 a.m. Most of you were waking up in this window. A few of you actually are waking up before the window. So the 6 to 10 a.m. is the kapha time of the day. The goal in the kapha time of the day is to balance kapha so that the heavy, dull, dense qualities of kapha is sleepy, aren't carried with you throughout the day. Because remember, if like attracts like, the more that we sleep, the more we do something heavy during the kapha time of the day, the heavier we're going to feel. So really think about it. When on those days, I used to do this as a teenager a lot, would you sleep in until like 11 and 12? Would you wake up and feel like bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, like, yes, ready to take on the day? Or do you wake up kind of with a heaviness and a fatigue? And then those of you who said that you wake up at 4 or 5:30 in the morning, say you feel great because you haven't done the heavy activity in the heavy time of the day. So the peak of the kapha time of the day is going to be 8 to 9 a.m. We really don't want to be sleeping between 8 and 9 a.m. That's going to increase a lot of kapha in the body, a lot of heaviness that we're then going to carry with us throughout the morning. So the tip is to wake up with the sunrise and then to incorporate some vigorous movement in the morning, a little bit of sweat, something that really gets the blood flowing, because kapha is heavy. And again, if you've taken my body literacy bootcamp, you'll know that vigorous movement is one of the ways that we balance kapha in the body. And so we want to shake off that heaviness that's naturally present in the morning with moving. Practices like dry brushing, oil pulling, walking, or nausea oil are going to increase vigor. They're going to wake up kapha a bit. Lemon or lime water in hot water is going to cut through mucus. So kapha lives in the lungs, and kapha is also mucus. It's lubrication for the body. So yes, that's good. But if we're waking up really congested, then we need to balance that. Neti pot is also a really nice practice for that. So anything that really gets stuff moving between 6 to 10 a.m. is what we want. Because the lungs are a kapha organ and we might feel some heaviness in the morning is a really great time of day for pranayama, so that we're increasing that vitality, we're increasing prana and the life force energy so we don't feel heavy. Between 8 and 10 a.m., we should be planning our work for the day, especially the Vata Pitta types who are listening to this masterclass, because Vata Pitta is go, go, go. It's going to feel very calm and grounded during the kapha time of the day. And so this is a really good time of the day for you to be able to plan things out. Kapha is very stable. It's structured. It's going to come up with a plan before it takes action. And so we can really use that as Vata Pitta types to our benefit. The grounded, calm energy we get at this time of the morning. I find as a Vata Pitta as well that this is my favorite time in the morning to journal. There's like a heavy introspectiveness that I'm able to tap into in the morning that I can't necessarily get later on in the day. For my folks who are dealing with hormone imbalance or sleep issues, we need to look at the kapha time of the day, 6 to 10 a.m., as it actually impacting our sleep. So we want to get our bare eyes in the sunlight for at least 20 minutes in the morning. And this is like eyes without sunglasses on, and preferably the sunlight like hitting as much of your skin as possible. That's going to trigger the body to stop producing melatonin and to start producing cortisol in the morning, which we actually do want that natural production of cortisol. And it's going to be much more ideal for your body to start to create it because of the sunlight rather than coffee or caffeine. All right, and then we move on to 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., which is the pitta time of the day. The goal of this time of the day is to harness the focused, ambitious, assertive energy in the middle of the day to get your shit done. So I am a firm believer that we shouldn't be working 8-hour work days. I do not believe that humans were meant to sit at a desk in front of a computer for 8 hours a day. We need to be moving our bodies more, and we need to be changing things up throughout the day. So if you've got about 8 hours of work that you need to get done, I believe you can get it all done in 4 hours if you've got 4 uninterrupted focus hours during the pitta time of the day. This is our sharp time of the day because pitta is sharp. So the peak of the pitta time of the day is going to be 12 p.m. My tips for the pitta time of the day is to work on the to-do list. Anything that needs your attention, do it now. If you have anything challenging for your work, anything you're just like, I don't understand, do it during the pitta time of the day. The brain is going to be more focused. It's going to be more analytical. It's going to be sharper. If you've got to like work on spreadsheets, like writing materials, I try to see my clients during the pitta time of the day because I can focus on them better, right? I can actually listen and I can reflect, and everyone, it's just, we're on a bit more. Have conversations, schedule interviews, do your writing. You know, if you're like doing podcast interviews or anything like that where you want to speak really clearly, do it during the pitta time of the day. It is not a coincidence that I scheduled this masterclass to be filmed at 11:30 a.m., right? I knew that that was the time of the day that I can be the sharpest and I can be the most focused. Now, pitta does have a little bit of temper. So if you're having a hard conversation, be careful of that in the middle of the day. You know, this is just the time of the day where you want to get your point across and you know that you can speak very clearly. If you don't work or don't have a traditional job, get your errands done, get the housework done, do the meal planning, things like that, things that just kind of weigh on our shoulders, get it done during this time of the day. Now, pitta is also responsible for digestion and assimilation of the nutrients, which means that this is when our digestive strength, our capacity to eat and digest food, is actually at its strongest. So not only do we want to get our stuff done during the day, but we also want to have, or during the pitta time of the day, but we also want to have our largest meal at this time of the day, as close to noon as possible, because noon is going to be the peak of the pitta time of the day. It's the peak of our digestive strength. I know with a lot of really driven people, what happens is that we skip lunch completely and end up, you know, eating at other times of the day, which is going to mess up the metabolism and really start to impact the digestive system. So it's really important to fuel yourself during the pitta time of the day. Especially for my pitta types, I would recommend avoiding strenuous exercise during the pitta time of the day because this is the time of the day that you can overheat yourself. So this would not be the time of the day that I recommend going for a run, taking a HIIT class, going to a hot yoga class, anything like that, because you're adding a lot of heat and intensity into an already hot and intense situation. A little bit more specifics here for kapha types. Use this time of day to find motivation. Sometimes there's a little bit of a struggle with motivation for kapha types. Kapha also can tend to feel shy. So if you have to do something where you're really forced to confront your shyness, you know, some type of difficult conversation or putting yourself out there, or, you know, some type of public speaking, schedule it for the pitta time of the day, because you're going to be able to really harness that pitta energy and confront it and move beyond it. Vata types, use this time of the day to stay focused. This is what I do all the time as a true Vata type. I'm like 10 to 2. That's my window. That's when I'm getting stuff done. I often will put my phone like in a completely other room, a different room. I have also been known to leave my phone in my car so that I just don't have the distraction during the pitta time of the day, because as a Vata, I can get pulled into so many different places and realize that I haven't gotten my to-do list done. Time blocking is also really helpful, especially for Vata types, especially during this time of the day. So you could work in 40 to 50-minute increments. And actually set a timer and know that you're not going to do anything but the focused work that you're trying to get done, even if it's just like house cleaning. And then give yourself a 5 to 10 minute break and then come back to it. And if you do that through the 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. window, you'll be amazed at how much you can get done. And I've already spoke on this, but 12 p.m. is when the digestive fire is the strongest. So we do want to take a break for a meal. Your digestive fire is going to be much weaker. The prana, the energy, isn't going to go into the digestive system if we're working while we are eating. And it's the pitta types that are going to have the hardest time with that, because pitta wants to get stuff done. And so the pitta time of the day is when, like, I'm not going to take a break for lunch. I'm just going to keep going. It's very important that we do actually take that break for lunch. And eat food without distraction so that our body can digest and assimilate the nutrients from the food. Many of you, if you've taken my other classes or courses before, will know that according to Ayurveda, we are very careful about things like salads and raw foods because they can be a lot harder for the body to digest. If you crave a salad, a meat, smoothie, any of these harder to digest foods, doing so in the middle of the day, your body is going to have the best chance to digest it. And so this is the best time of the day to be eating those foods. All right, 2 to 6 p.m. is the Vata time of the day. The goal for this time of the day is to take a breath, to slow down, and to not burn yourself out. So all of you, when I asked, what is your least favorite time of the day? What is the time of the day where you struggle the most? You all said sometime in this window, sometime in the Vata time of the day. And that is so normal. And I'm right there with you. It's my hardest time of the day as well. And what happens is that we live in this society and this culture where we are expected to act like it's the pitta time of the day through the whole day, right? But that's just not the way we were built. And that's not the way that the universe works. So once the Vata time of the day hits, if we're still really trying to do the pitta activities, we're going to start to struggle. And so my assumption, and please, when we go back to the chat in a moment, tell me if I'm wrong, is that most of you who are struggling during that time of the day are struggling because you're sitting at the computer, you're still trying to work, you're still trying to do these very pitta activities, and all of a sudden the energy isn't behind it. And so you find yourself like miserable, hangry, irritable, standing in front of your fridge, wondering if there's anything to like eat and distract yourself. So it's really natural. This happens. And the more that we can start to work with the energy of the day, this time of the day can actually be quite enjoyable. So Vata is scattered, it's mobile, it's light, it's much more airy. And so there is more of a scattered quality that starts to enter the mind during this time of the day. Vata likes to move. It's very hard to sit still in front of the computer at this time of the day. So especially a Vata Pitta type is going to likely find themselves really edgy or distracted at this time of the day. Like, this is just like, just agitating. And you might even notice that more anxiety or nervous tension shows up at this time. Sometimes it might be actually like feelings of anxiety. Sometimes it could show up as things like scrolling the phone mindlessly. Sometimes it could show up as cravings, because anxiety or nervous tension, your body is trying to balance that craving, balance that mobility with something heavy, and food will do that. So we want to balance this rather than fight against this. And this can be a challenging time of the day, but it doesn't have to. So tips. Vata in the body is the nervous system. So we actually want to balance the nervous system during this time of the day. And if we've woken up sometime between 4 and 6 a.m., we've already had quite a big day once we get to 2 to 3 p.m. And although it still feels, for many of us the day is still young, we need to actually give ourselves a moment to pause, right? We've already had a very long day, and things have built up. And so taking some time to do something like an alternate nostril breathing or Nadi Shodhana practice is going to really start to settle and balance the nervous system. Even if you just take a break at like 3 o'clock, if you have to work that 8-hour day, if you're clocking in, clocking out, something like that, if we take a 10-minute break to sit, breathe, and do some alternate nostril breathing, that might really shift things. Just like, hey, nervous system, I see ya, and I'm gonna sit with you. Go for a walk, earth, so put the bare feet on the earth. Meditate. Gentle yoga or somatic movements. And this isn't the time of the day that we want to be agitating the nervous system. This is the time of the day that we want to be calming the nervous system. I always try to take my dog for a leisurely walk during this time of the day, just to and he's a very old dog and a very slow walker. So it's not like a walk, it's more of like a stroll and sniff. And then when I can, I take my sandals off and I put my feet on the earth, so just anything like that. 10, 20 minutes of it makes a huge difference. Heat is going to really build up during the Pitta time of the day as well, especially if you're in a hot climate, and then especially if you're doing intense work. So side body stretches to release pent-up heat are going to feel really nice. And we all kind of crave that, after a few hours at the computer or a few hours of doing housework or driving around the city. So we want to release that at this time of the day. And then if you're still working, this is something I've explored with a lot of people in the past, a lot of clients that I've worked with on this, is like, how can you shift gears into something a little more creative, exploratory, or artistic during this time of the day? So if we are going to still work, the 9 to 5 or whatever it is, and I recognize that most of us do need to work more than 10 to 2 p.m. and I do too, we can really shift our gears. We can do that hard, challenging, analytical work during the Pitta time, and then we can shift into something a little bit more creative during the Vata time. Or maybe there's just something that, that needs to get done but isn't going to need that focused energy. Can you do it during that time? Often I'll try to be more creative with like social media posts and things like that during the Vata time of the day. And I'll write my newsletters and, build my slides and things like that during the Pitta time of the day and see my clients during the Pitta time. So, you can keep working, but we just kind of start to shift what we do a little bit. And we can talk at the end, brainstorm with different types of careers or different ways that you organize the day, ways that it can work for you to shift so that we're honoring some more of the creative Vata energy during the Vata time of the day, and we're honoring that sharp Pitta energy during the Pitta time of the day. So craving caffeine or sugar. This is because the adrenal function is at its lowest. So a lot of people have that afternoon coffee around 2 or 3 p.m. This is actually going to deplete the kidneys and the adrenals more. I know it feels like it's giving us the energy that we need to get through the day, but really 10 minutes of an alternate nostril breathing or a walk is going to serve your longevity much more. And then since we want to support that, we would swap that coffee for something with the natural salty taste. So like an electrolyte water, or miso soup, or celery juice, something that's going to nourish the kidneys and adrenals rather than stress them out. Have some space in the schedule. So I've honed this in, but this is the most important piece. And I put it here as a question mark because it's like, do you have some space in the schedule? If you can you do that 20-minute yoga nidra or a nap, something like that? That's going to be a really lovely time of the day for it. Traditionally, during kapha season, which the spring is kapha season, or for very kapha people, you wouldn't want to be napping in the middle of the day because it's just going to increase heaviness. But if you are one that feels very irritable, anxious, overwhelmed during this time of day, and I think that most individuals now are just very Vata Pitta imbalanced because we live in this go, go, go hustle culture. A 20-minute nap or something like that is really not going to increase too much kapha. It's going to really support our systems a lot, and the fact that we just need a lot more rest. I'm going to pause here really quickly and ask if you have any questions about the kapha time of the morning, Pitta or Vata, and then we're going to go into the last 3. So I'm going to go right back over here. And let's see what's happening in the chat. So if you have questions, please do leave them in the chat for me.
Okay, I cannot to type right now. I just have the question. I can totally relate to all these symptoms, and I didn't know that this is due to being too much Vata. So that was very interesting. Now we haven't still talked about, I wrote, I get also hungry, and not for just sugar, just for a real meal. And that's not a no. So, and I still haven't found a solution, if you can talk about it. So I have to go mute and probably close for the rest of the call. Thank you.
Perfect. Yes. All right. So, the feeling hungry during the Vata time of the afternoon between 2 and 4 is likely either indication that you have not nourished yourself enough in the morning and at lunch. We need to make sure that really we are nourishing ourselves at lunch and giving our body a chance to, to digest and assimilate the food. So take a 20-minute break and have your lunch. Or it means that there is too much movement, too much activity in the day, and that the hunger cues are being confused with the need to slow down. There is a need to slow down during the Vata time of the day. And if we are not slowing down, we might think that we're hungry because our body is trying to slow us down. And food creates some heaviness. So, maybe you're craving meat and potatoes, and that's going to be really heavy, right? And so that could really be indication of, I am just doing way too much during this time of the day. I need to take a walk. I need to take a break. And then the question, what if it starts at the Kapha time and ends in the Pitta time? What starts at the Kapha time?
Oh, I was referring to doing like hot yoga or something that's...
Oh, yes. You're okay because you're still, so like the 9 to 10 hot yoga class is what I'm assuming you're talking about.
No, I love, if I can make it to yours, I feel like that's ideal is what it sounds like. But if I can't, or like on days when I have meetings in the morning, the other options are from like 10:30 to 11:30 or 10:45 to 11:45.
So just because I'm teaching the Ayurvedic framework right now. So the Ayurvedic framework would not recommend doing a hot yoga class during the Pitta time of the day. That's going to just increase a lot of Pitta in the body. Now, your exception could be if you are an extremely like Kapha Vata persons, you deal with really cold, heavy sluggishness, and it's winter and you live on the East Coast. And it's like, all right, we just need to add heat into this, but I do know that you're in Los Angeles and have a good deal of Pitta. And so then that could be adding a lot of flame to the heat already. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And again, all of these, as we go through this, please do take what works for you and leave what doesn't. This is a 5,000-year-old science that is just constantly evolved and transformed and stood the test of the time, but we need to make it work for ourselves, and we don't have to be black and white or dogmatic about it. We find what works for us and we make our own rules within these frameworks. And then let's see, another comment here. I grew up with these very guidelines as a South Asian. I feel living in the Western world, it's so easy to lose track and forget. Yeah, it's so hard. It's such a hustle here. This is a great reminder of how my ancestors thrived. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And one of the most beautiful things about Ayurveda, and then we're going to get to the last 3, is that it's said that Ayurveda is remembered rather than learned, because Ayurveda is the oldest science on record. And so it's 5,000 plus years old, and it really has stood the test of time. And, since it's 5,000 years old, it's really part of this like universal drop-in, this universal consciousness. And so our bodies remember it. It's a very intuitive science. And as we start to practice it, we're like, this feels good. My body remembers this. My body wants this. It doesn't ever feel unintuitive, and it shouldn't feel unintuitive. And really anything for your health or wellness or how to thrive shouldn't feel unintuitive. It shouldn't feel like this might be wrong, but I'm going to try it anyways. Don't follow those paths. Any other questions or comments before I continue on to the last 3?
Is the last 3 the other times of the day?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Mine is correlated with
those. Okay. Perfect. All right, I'm going to go back to the screen. If someone can't see, please, again, just holler at me. Do we see the screen? Okay, I'm gonna hope that quiet means yes, that you can see. Okay, great. All right, here we go. 6 to 10 p.m. The kapha time of the day, or now we're starting to inch towards the kapha time of the night. So the kapha time of the morning was 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. You guys are going to start to see a pattern here. Now, during that time of the morning, we wanted to balance kapha. During this time of the night, or during this time of the late afternoon, we want to move with kapha. So now we're going to use the strength of kapha to help us go to sleep, just like we use the strength of pitta to help us get things done. So the goal of the kapha time of the evening is to wind down and let the kapha energy carry you to sleep. It's natural, especially in this hustle, go, go, go culture, to feel like you need to do more at the end of the day, right? It's like you take care of the kids, you go do the errands, you take the yoga class, whatever it is, you make the dinner, and then I've got a little bit more work to do. But this is not the energy of kapha, and this is not the energy we should be leaning into. We should be leaning into slowing down kapha activities, and this is going to improve sleep. This is going to improve digestion. This is going to improve your overall energy, your hormonal health, your mood. I mean, this is so important. This is going to prevent you from burning out. It's during trying to be a pitta during the vata and the kapha times of the day is how we burn out. So the peak is 8 p.m. The tip is to have your dinner as early as possible. Your digestion slows with kapha, so we really don't want to go to bed full. We've moved from the vata time of the day, which is also not going to be the strongest digestive time of the day, to the kapha time of the day, which is also not the strongest digestive time. That doesn't mean you can't eat, but we don't want to be eating our biggest meals during this time. You actually want to eat your smallest meal at dinner, which is quite backwards, because this is when the digestive capacity is the lowest. So soups with bitter and astringent taste, like beans and greens, are really nice at this time, especially if you deal with a lot of kapha, like heaviness in the stomach, anything like that at this time of day. We want just nice things that are gonna like lightly flush us out, cleanse us out, lighten the load on the digestive system a little bit. Again, this doesn't need to be your biggest meal of the day. If I can hone that in, I wanna hone that in. Turn off all electronics as early as possible. Your electronics are going to aggravate vata and kapha. They're going to increase cortisol. They're working against this heaviness that helps put us to sleep. Practices like ear oil, foot oil, abhyanga, and yoga nidra are all really lovely practices for this time of night. With the exception of yoga nidra, these are all practices that incorporate oil, and that's going to help ground you, lubricate you, so that we're actually adding like some more kapha into the kapha time of the day, so that we can use the strength of the heavy kaphaness to put us to sleep. I do have a resources section in this masterclass where you have links and tutorials to these practices if these are all new to you. And then we also go into these types of practices in great detail in my seasonal cleanses and my Ayurvedic resets. So if you're having trouble winding down for bed, try to get into bed before the kapha time ends. So the heavy kapha energy dulls the mind and puts you to sleep. So kapha, we're going to fall into a much deeper sleep during the kapha time of the night than we will during any other time. The less you do at this time of night, the better. Your mind and your body is going to have to digest any and all input from this time of day, and really from any of the earlier times of day too, once you go to sleep. So be very careful what you consume. I would really recommend not watching something scary on TV, or like reading a disturbing book, or listening to a murder mystery podcast at this time of day, because they're agitating and they're aggravating. And we want to be doing things that are soothing. Then we move into the pitta time of the night. The pitta time of the night is 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. The goal of this time of the night is simple. You'd be asleep. That's all you got to do. You got to be asleep. The liver is one of the pitta organs. This is when it gets its deep rejuvenation. The liver is a really crucial detox organ, and we forget that often how important the liver is, but it plays a huge role in our hormones. So if you're dealing with any sort of hormonal imbalance, hot flashes, PMS, cystic acne, anything, we need to look at the liver. The liver also plays a huge role in any type of digestive imbalances, so from gas, bloat, and diarrhea to leaky gut, we need to be looking at the health of the liver. And this is when the liver gets its healing. The body is repairing at this time. It's recharging. It's cleaning up. It's doing the rest of the digestion, the assimilation of the nutrients, so we can let go of what does not serve us, the toxins or whatever our body doesn't need, and take the nutrients from the food and put it all in all the right places. This happens while we're sleeping. If you are not sleeping, that pitta energy goes out. That's the second wind. So if there's anyone who stays up later than 10 p.m., I'm going to assume that you start to get your second wind during this time. This is that pitta energy that we harnessed at 10 a.m. to get our shit done, is now going out again into cleaning out the closet, when really it needs to be going inward this time. So we worked with the pitta energy during 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Now we balance the pitta energy with sleep during 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. So we want that energy to be going inward. Not all 8 hours of sleep are created equally. And this is something really important. If you can take one big takeaway away from this, especially those of you who are watching this that stay up late into the night, not all 8 hours of sleep are created equally. So I don't know if you guys remember back a while ago when we were finally letting go of things like calories, and there was memes and things like that. I don't know, social media infographics that came out that were a calorie is not equal to a calorie. And it was 10 calories of Oreos with 10 calories of broccoli, and it was showing how it's not equal. And I'm hoping now we all know that that's really obvious. Well, 8 hours of sleep is not equivalent to 8 hours of sleep. It matters when you sleep. So 8 hours of sleep from 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. is not nearly as good as 8 hours of sleep from 10 p.m. to, what is the 8 hours of sleep? 6 a.m., right? So we must be asleep between 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. to get good sleep. And that's very important, to get that really deep restorative sleep during that window. And because the pitta energy is a very, lightning energy, it moves us forward. We feel that during the pitta time of the day. It's when you guys say you feel the best, most of you. We don't want to be awake when that time starts to come in, because you're going to be oh, you know what? I can just do one more thing really quickly. My guiltiness here is getting ready for bed and being right around when 10 o'clock hits, if I've been up late, I'll be you know what? I can just clean the kitchen really quickly. And then, we just have that energy. So we want to go to sleep between 9 and 10. We'll fall asleep much easier than anything after 10 p.m. So the tips: turn off all electronics by 8 p.m. This was also a tip during the kapha time of the night, because we don't want cortisol to be up. We don't want pitta thinking it's going to get to do its pitta thing come 10 p.m. We really want to be winding down. Aim to have your eyes closed before the pitta time of the night begins. And then, as I said before, in the kapha, be very mindful of what you read, watch, listen to, because pitta needs to digest it. And it's important to remember that pitta is digesting what's happening physically in the stomach, the nutrients that we ate, but it also digests everything from the mind as well. So everything that we've been told, everything we've thought, everything we've listened to, that's also getting digested and being put in different pockets in the mind, and it's sitting in the subconscious. And we want to start to, to clean that stuff out of it, right? We want to feel good mentally and physically, and it's also connected. If you feel like you need an evening snack to keep you asleep, this is something I've heard from many people in the past. Rather than eating, which is going to really turn on the digestive fire and perhaps keep you from deep sleep, try for a golden milk. with ghee and fresh nutmeg. So the golden milk is going to have turmeric, which is very anti-inflammatory. It's cleansing for the blood. It's lovely for the liver. It's going to be really nice for you during the pitta time of the night. The ghee is just a very clean, healthy fat that's going to give your body like something to keep it grounded and satiated, so that blood sugar swings likely aren't keeping you up or waking you up. And then fresh nutmeg is a sedative, so it's going to actually help put you to sleep. And I have a link in the resources page for the golden milk as well, if you're looking for just a really nice clean powder. Racing mind, already thinking about tomorrow. My pitta vata types, that's likely you. Before the pitta time of the night, so I would do this during the kapha time of the night, in that grounded state, make a list of everything you need to get done the next day. Use it like a brain dump. Like, okay, instead of being like, I need to get this done now, just put it on paper so you have it for tomorrow. And then for the vata pitta types, for extra credit, cross one thing off. Because remember, we're actually trying to not burn ourselves out. We want to enjoy our lives and live our lives and have some space. So it's really nice practice to start to just take one thing off of the list, and to realize too that that's not the end of the world. All right, we're on our last one, the vata time of the morning. The goal of this time is to use the light, subtle energy of vata to wake up towards the end. So ideally, you're not waking up at 2 a.m., but I would also guess that if you deal with insomnia, and you can tell me in the chat if I'm correct, if you deal with insomnia, you're waking up likely between 2 and 4 a.m. because that's when the energy has lightened into that vata time. And having insomnia is a very vata type of a state, a condition. And so it's that vata that's waking you up. This is an ideal time of day for connecting to spirituality and meditation practices. So many very serious yogis wake up around 4 a.m. to do their sadhana, to do their morning practices, because vata is very spiritual and vata is very subtle. It's light. And so it's said that the veil between the spiritual world and like the material world that we're in is much thinner during this time of the day. And so this is the best time of the day to kind of transcend those states of consciousness and to connect to some more spiritual things, spiritual practices, and, spiritual states of mind. So if you're waking up between 2 and 4 a.m. and you need some more sleep, I don't recommend getting up at 2 a.m. Instead of getting up and starting to move, I would practice a yoga nidra. Yoga nidra is a very specific type of meditation that grounds you and puts you back into the body. So it's specifically balancing to vata. And we are going to assume that it's vata waking us up because it's the vata time of the day. So the yoga nidra has you do a body scan, and that can be very helpful to put you back to sleep. If this is something that you have been dealing with consistently, because we know that the times of the days are mirroring each other, I would actually then start to look at what is happening between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. And is vata getting very agitated by too much movement in that time of the day? And seeing if changing things between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. can actually impact whether you're able to sleep through 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. If you're naturally an early riser, don't fight it. This is your body's intelligence. And if you're not naturally an early riser, I would try to start to work towards it. Because when we wake up with the light energy, we feel lighter. Chances are you will feel lighter, better, and more energetic if you wake up between 5 and 6 than if you wake up between 7 and 8. So maybe even try it for a while, and of course, if you're used to sleeping in, it's like, oh my goodness, the alarm clock is so early. There is that moment of discomfort as you get used to it. But after a few weeks, you might start to really notice a difference in your energy. Kapha types. This is the best time of the day for you to do your planning. Kapha type is not going to likely feel motivated by the grounding energy of the kapha time of the morning, but it will feel motivated by the light energy in the vata time of the morning. So this would be a nice type to do your planning, organize your day, get things going, and then get a little bit of movement when the kapha time of the morning comes. So why is this so important to pay attention to? And really, if you do anything starting to organize the day in this way, you might notice like huge shifts in the way you feel and the way your body is functioning. And it's because in order to thrive, we must adjust our lifestyle before our diet. And then we must adjust our diet before we add herbs. And then we must adjust our herbs before we add pharmaceuticals. And then we've set the base, we've set, the framework for a really healthy, thriving lifestyle and body. And unfortunately, the reason so many of us are struggling is because we do it in the exact opposite. We do the pharmaceuticals first. And when that doesn't work, then we go to the herbs. And then when that doesn't work, okay, then we finally, we're going to change the food because we're starting to get desperate, right? And then when that still doesn't work, it's like, okay, I will do anything. Then you start to adjust your lifestyle. And it's backwards. So we got to adjust the lifestyle first. All right. This is where wellness begins. So if you have any questions, I'm going to leave some time now. I'll stay as long as any of you who are here live have questions. If you are watching the recording after the fact and you have a question or a comment, please just leave it below the video and tag me, just my name, Lillian Jacobs, and it will notify me and I'll be sure to reply. Usually it takes me about 48 hours. Reach out. I want to hear from you. Share your biggest takeaways from this. Hi at Lillian Jacobs Wellness is how you can reach me. And if you are new to me, please add me as a contact to your email list and favorite me on Instagram so you can stay up to date with future offerings. I send wellness tips out on my email list every Friday afternoon or Friday morning. And I've got lots of fun things coming up. So stay connected. And thank you for being here and listening to this. I'm going to go back over here and stop the screen share. And then if anyone has any questions, let me know. Let's see. I have someone says, will you please tell me about your cleanses, please? Yes. So I lead 3 live cleanses a year, one in the spring, one in the fall, and one in January, right after the New Year's. And each cleanse has a very specific goal of resetting the body and balancing the doshas that are specific to the season. So we talk about the doshas for the time of the day. Doshas also build up with the seasons. And so each of those 10-day programs are going to help rebalance the doshas of the seasons. I do have a new offering coming out. It's going to be a 5-day anytime Ayurvedic reset, just for when your body just needs that. And you'll be getting information from me via email about that very soon. And Indy, if you are interested in the spring one, just shoot me an email because I still have people doing it. It actually launched about 2 weeks ago, but I still have people that are going through it. So if you wanted to hop in, you wouldn't be too late. Anyone have any other questions about any of this? Yeah, thank you.
I don't know if you saw my comment in the chat. I had to step away for 2 seconds. So you might have already addressed it. So
I didn't see it. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, so the question is, I'm going to read it for those who are watching the recording later. I have a few classes that are unavailable before 6 p.m. So Katie is in school. Some are from like 6 to 9 p.m. Do you have any suggestions for how to deal with having to be attentive during this time? That's tricky. Because you don't want like caffeine, you don't want stimulants. Tulsi tea is going to be lightening. Gotu kola is another nice herb that can like support brain function. But yeah, other than that, you could take those teas and just know that it's temporary.
Yeah, because I did that during one class, like in the winter, and the other class is also available on another night where I was just like, I can't. And it was like, even like the fluorescent lighting, like I was just like, I feel so wrong being here. But it's like, I asked and they were like, yeah, this is the time of this class, like during the whole year. And I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
I was get the glasses that have
the blue light
filters. I think they have like the orange glasses for the evenings.
That's a great idea. I actually have some of those.
Lights.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then coming up with, and this is something too, Katie has been in my cleanses, and for those of you who might do a cleanse in the future, we talk about this a lot, but, you know, coming up with some rituals that you add in. So we ritualize our day during the cleanses with our dinacharya. You could come up with some really specific rituals. Like, before you go into class, I'm going to have a tulsi tea and maybe do nadi shodhana from the right nostril, which wakes you up a little bit. I'm going to do that, you know, and then when I get home, because this is later than I normally wind down, I'm going to diffuse some lavender, and I'm going to do nadi shodhana from the left nostril to wind me down, and just like create little rituals so that you're kind of ritualizing this class, and it's not forever, you know, and then when the class is done, then you kind of go back to the flow. Okay. And try not to stress about it too much too, you know, because again, we take what works and then we leave what doesn't.
Totally. Thank you. I have one more question if nobody else has one.
Yeah, go for it.
So I do try and go to yoga in the morning or go for a walk like in the morning, have that for my like big exercise time. But sometimes I have like a lot of bike meetups that are like later in the day, or sometimes I just like want to get a yoga session in. But it's so, like some of my other favorite classes that are in the evening start at 6. And those aren't necessarily like, I generally have been trying to avoid the heated classes at night for kind of like all the reasons you were talking about. But if it's like not a super intense vinyasa flow class, is that okay? Okay, according to Ayurveda, for like 6 p.m.
I think so, totally. And it's also very much about the intention you move into it with. So if you're going to a 6 p.m. yoga class and you are making sure that you wind down in the yoga class, so not doing like a deep back bending practice, you know, and if the teacher offers a deep back bending, you're like, you know what, I'm just going to put my block under my sacrum and hang here, but actually really use it to balance and ground that vata energy. As the vata time of the day ends, it can be a really lovely time of the day to practice, you know. So I think absolutely, but it's not the time of the day to fire it up and try to like get the most aggressive, intense practice.
Totally.
Really wind down. And I hope and I believe that, you know, most teachers, at least where you're practicing, are honoring the time of the day. I actually teach a 6:15 yoga class, but I never teach back bends, you know, forward folds, and we do big hip openers, and we do things like that are going to actually ground people. So it's much different than a class I would teach at 9.
Totally.
So yeah, just go into it with a different intention and protect your energy, you know, just go in knowing I'm going to do some forward folds and hip openers, and I'm going to ground. And then my suggestion would be trying to eat before. So so that you're not then eating too late and then moving things really late. Yeah. And even if you go for a bike ride, that's great. You're moving your body, you're out in nature, but it's not a bike ride where you're trying to like get a PR. You're just riding a bike and breathing and moving and being in nature. Great. Perfect for vata.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, let's see. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Indy. Thank you for being here. In the UK, I love that. I love when I hear that people are international in the courses. It's so fun. Does anyone else have any other questions? Yes,
question.
Yeah, go.
Oh, in terms of time and eating, I like what you just said to Katie. That just reminded me. So if I'm doing so I'm up at 5:30, right? And I do all my meditative practices and other things at that time, which is great. And I've now added in nausea oil and oil pulling. So my process is about an hour and change at that time now, since I have the time. Perfect. And then I'm going to yoga at 9, 8:30 or 9, your class. And then after I come home and I have to eat. Now, speaking of eating and fueling our bodies, I don't want to eat closer than 2 to 3 hours closer to yoga, or 2 to 3 hours prior to yoga, because otherwise it makes me really sick. But when I wake up at 5:30, I can't eat before my meditative practices. And so is it better just to wait until 11 a.m.? I'm having a pretty, I know, right? It's the terrible time. Yeah. So how if should I eat like something very small, like some dates or something that's nutrient dense, 5:30 or 6 a.m. that will tide me over until a lunch hour, and then eat a bigger meal, like wait until 12, 1 o'clock to actually eat. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like I'm
that's so
looking for something.
tricky.
Yeah.
That's so tricky. I mean, I would listen to your hunger. So if you're waking up hungry, or if you're hungry during your morning practice, then I would eat something when you wake up. You know, some of the more new research that's coming out, this isn't specific Ayurveda, is saying that women should ideally be eating within 30 minutes of waking up.
Mm.
And protein. So I wouldn't want you to just have a date. I would definitely want you to have something with some protein, because you don't want to just go spike the blood sugar. Not that dates are bad. And so yeah, you know, kind of maybe practice exploring what does it look like, maybe waking up, maybe doing the, you know, straight away the meditative practice, or if there's any type of breath work that would feel uncomfortable with food in the stomach, you know, maybe doing that first, and then having some breakfast, and then, you know, maybe going on to some other morning activities, you know, figuring out how you can get that. Or, you know, perhaps is there something you could eat around like 7:30 that would be light enough that it would settle in time for a 9 a.m. yoga class. That could be something to do with too. But I think that going from 5:30 to 11 is far too long to not eat.
And also having not eaten from 6 p.m. the night before. So it's already like,
hungry.
You know,
and if you haven't eaten since 6 p.m., ideally by like 7, you're hungry. You know? Yeah. And that's good. We should have that hunger in the morning. But we want to also honor the hunger and feed it. Otherwise it will start to go away, and we don't want that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All righty. Thank you all for being here. Those of you who are watching the recording, thank you for watching, and reach out with anything. Let me know how this all goes for you. I'm excited to hear.